Chapter 131. On the emerald blue sky, energy continuously fluctuated violently, creating a thunderous sound. Even at a great distance, Xiaoyan felt his ears buzzing. His eyes intensely stared at the distant horizon, where the two colors, cyan and red, almost covered half the sky. Even the layers of white clouds were tinged with the bicolored light. A sound like thunder exploded near his ear. Again. Xiaoyan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The oppressive energy emanating from the sky made his legs tremble slightly. This is a true powerhouse, he muttered under his breath. Having initially witnessed the terrifying might generated when experts of this rank fought, Xiaoyan felt that he was like a frog at the bottom of a well before. Now he finally knew that what was written in the books about one person fighting 10,000 was truly not just a legend. Standing next to Xiaoyan, old Man Yao slightly frowned as he watched the battle on the distant horizon. Muttering softly, that girl must be a human, but why did she run to the magical beast mountain range to fight the amethyst-winged lion king? How is it? Feeling very shocked. Turning his head to look at Xiaoyan's trembling body, old Man Yao suddenly smiled and asked. Nodding with difficulty, Xiaoyan said with a bitter smile, watching them fight, I realized that my previous battles were just like children comparing themselves to an elder. Ah, I said it long ago, the Doqi continent is vast, and there are many people stronger than Dohuang experts. You have great potential. When you reach that rank someday, you will naturally discover that this world is truly magnificent. Old Man Yao said with a laugh. Although watching their battles might is shocking, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I must walk this path steadfastly, one step at a time. Xiaoyan said with a bright smile. Hearing that, old Man Yao was startled, then smiled joyfully and nodded. Do you want to go and watch their battle for a bit? Raising his chin to look at the battle high up in the distance, old Man Yao said with a smile. Will we be discovered by them? Joyful at first, Xiaoyan then spoke with some worry. Are you underestimating me too much? Old Man Yao waved his hand. His body transformed into a stream of light and entered Xiaoyan's body. Instantly, a surge of pale white energy enveloped his body. Let me control your body for this duration. After saying this, the purple cloud wings behind Xiaoyan automatically sprouted. This time, the purple cloud wings were not only longer by a meter, but the purple light circulating on their surface was extremely nimble and mysterious. The pale white energy gradually covered the two wings, concealing all visible light. Let's go. Today, I'll take you to see what a true powerhouse is like. Old Man Yao said with a calm laugh. The purple cloud wings slightly vibrated, gently lifting Xiaoyan's body. The wings vibrated again, and he shot out frantically toward the battlefield. Looking at the trees continuously blurring into afterimages beneath him, Xiaoyan's face was slightly flushed with excitement. Because of the purple cloud wings augmentation, old Man Yao's speed this time was much faster than when they were in Wuten City. The pleasure of high-speed flight almost made Xiaoyan impulsively raise his head and let out a long whistle. Above the forest, Xiaoyan flew at an extremely fast speed. After more than 10 minutes, he was close to the battlefield. The intense energy fluctuation high in the sky generated a powerful pressure that made even Xiaoyan, who was protected by old Man Yao, feel a shiver of fear. Stopping about 10 zhang from the battle in the air, Xiaoyan's body paused. He used the dense forest to conceal himself and sneaked to a massive, sky-covering tree. From this spot, Xiaoyan could clearly see the two sides fighting. In the sky, observing up close, Xiaoyan once again experienced the ferocity of a Dohuang powerhouse. In the emerald blue sky, the two colors, cyan and red, covered half the sky, appearing extremely magnificent. His first glance swept toward the colossal magical beast in the sky. This magical beast's body was huge, over 7 or 8 zhang tall. Its entire body was covered by a layer of purple crystallization. The sunlight shone on it, causing light to shoot out in all directions, which was somewhat dazzling. The magical beast's head was a ferocious-looking lion's head. Its eyes emitted a strange purple light mixed with blood red. Its wide mouth was full of fangs. On its head was a crimson fire spiral horn, surrounded by wisps of purple flame. A pair of purple wings grew on the colossal lion's body. With every flap, clusters of pale purple flames swept out, covering the sky and the earth. Its 4 massive claws were also covered by purple crystals. Every time it stomped down, it made the space tremble. Its immense power was hard to imagine. The colossal magical beast stood in the air, and an invisible oppressive force descended from the sky, making Xiaoyan's mind tremble. Is this the legendary amethyst-winged Lion King? His eyes glazed over as he looked at the magical beast, which possessed both beauty and destruction. Xiaoyan muttered softly. Shaking his head in awe of the amethyst-winged Lion King's appearance, Xiaoyan shifted his gaze toward the figure confronting the amethyst-winged Lion King. Unexpectedly, it's a woman. His eyes swept over the exquisite, curved figure. Xiaoyan was surprised in his heart. He didn't expect the expert who dared to oppose the amethyst-winged Lion King to be a woman. In the sky, the woman's plump, soft body was covered by a set of plain white clothes. In her hand, she held a strangely shaped sword that emitted a cyan light. Her hair was tied up high in a phoenix shape. Her breathtakingly beautiful face was calm and serene. She was not outwardly affected by the fact that she was confronting a notoriously fierce magical beast on the continent. Behind the mysterious woman was a pair of somewhat illusory cyan wings. They must have been condensed from her own Dou Qi. Dou Qi transformed into wings was almost the sign of a Dou King. Powerhouse. In the sky, the mysterious woman stood calmly. Her beautiful face was serene, yet revealed an air of grace and nobility that the plain white clothes could barely conceal. You are reading the novel copied at truyenful.vn. Human woman, why do you come to disturb this king's rest? In the sky, the colossal amethyst-winged Lion King suddenly shouted in human speech. Hearing the magical beast speak human language, Xiaoyan was startled at first, but then suddenly understood. A magical beast that reached this rank must have developed intelligence long ago. And its wisdom was not inferior to that of humans. I want to borrow the amethyst spirit crystal from the Lion King for my use. Her beautiful eyes stared intently at the amethyst-winged Lion King. The mysterious woman's rosy lips parted, and her voice, which was cold yet clear and pleasant to the ear, rang out like pearls falling on a jade plate. Amethyst spirit crystal. My amethyst-winged lion tribe can only shed a small piece from our bodies once every 20 years. How can you simply ask for it and expect to receive it? The amethyst-winged Lion King said mockingly. I can use something you need in exchange. The mysterious woman seemed to be somewhat wary of this notoriously fierce 6th-tier magical beast, so her words were not overly aggressive. Exchange. Heh, sure. I just happened to be stuck at the transformation stage recently. As long as you can make me a transformation pill, I'll give you the amethyst spirit crystal. How about that? Hearing this, the amethyst-winged Lion King immediately let out a loud laugh. As expected, the lion opens its mouth wide. A transformation pill is a miraculous pill that only 7th-rank alchemists can refine. Exchanging it for an amethyst spirit crystal, unless that woman is an idiot. Hearing the amethyst-winged Lion King's demand, old Man Yao scoffed. Widening his eyes, Xiaoyan, hearing of this pill, for the first time, asked in confusion, judging by the name, the transformation pill must be a medicinal pill that allows magical beasts to transform into human form. How is it? Is it very precious? With the transformation pill, a magical beast can completely transform into a human form. And after transforming into a human, their cultivation speed can truly be comparable to that of humans. You tell me, is this item precious or not? Ah. Xiaoyan nodded wordlessly. Magical beasts already live much longer than humans. Although some miraculous pills can prolong human life. Compared to magical beasts, especially high-rank ones, the lifespan is still very short. One can imagine how powerful a high-rank magical beast would be if it successfully transformed and cultivated safely for 180 years. As old Man Yao predicted, hearing the amethyst-winged Lion King's demand, the mysterious woman's dark eyebrows furrowed. She shook her head and said softly, "I apologize. I believe that even within the Jiama Empire, very few people can produce this transformation pill. However, if you are willing, I can exchange it with 3 5th-tier magical cores and high-rank Xian-level Dou Qi techniques, and Dou techniques suitable for you. I'm not interested. If you don't have the transformation pill, then get out of the magical beast mountain range." Waving its colossal head, the amethyst-winged Lion King's mouth closed slightly. It unhesitatingly refused the mysterious woman's offer. Sighing softly, the mysterious woman slowly raised the strangely shaped long sword. She said with a touch of helplessness, "Since it has come to this, I have no choice but to take it by force." "Ha ha. Humans are always like this." Seeing the mysterious woman's action, the amethyst-winged Lion King let out a loud laugh that made the ground tremble. After a long moment, it slowly restrained its laughter, and its voice gradually turned cold. "I know you are also a Do Huang powerhouse, but if you truly want to fight, whether you can leave the magical beast mountain range alive is another question. The Lion King doesn't need to worry about that." Saying indifferently, the mysterious woman lightly raised her white hand. A cluster of cyan wind tornado appeared in her palm. It was only about 2 meters wide at first. But in just a moment, the wind tornado swelled against the wind, instantly transforming into a tornado dozens of zhang wide. The cyan wind tornado roared and spun violently. Large trees were continuously uprooted and violently shattered by the powerful wind, sending wood fragments flying everywhere. Humph, the magical beast mountain range is not human territory. It's not your place to show off your might. Seeing the increasingly colossal windstorm, the amethyst-winged Lion King shouted. A low, muffled roar, echoing throughout the mountain range, came from its mouth. Following the lion's roar, the amethyst light on the Lion King's body shone brightly. The fierce purple flames instantly burst out from its body and surged, finally converging into a massive purple fire pillar that shot straight up to the sky. The terrifying high temperature made even Xiaoyan, who was several hundred meters away, sweat profusely. What a terrifying display! Xiaoyan wiped the sweat from his forehead, looking at the distant colossal wind tornado and fire pillar in shock, his tongue dry. "Master, who do you think will win?" Wiping his sweat again, Xiaoyan asked softly. "It has reached this point. Without a truly powerful trump card, it's usually difficult to kill the opponent. As for who will win or lose, I can't say for sure. Everything will become clear after the battle is over," Old Man Yao said with a laugh. Shaking his head helplessly, Xiaoyan suddenly looked up, sensing the increasingly tense atmosphere, and said softly, "The battle has begun." In the sky, the colossal wind tornado, after the mysterious woman waved her hand, roared violently with the sound of wind, frantically sweeping up everything and rushing toward the amethyst-winged Lion King. Wherever the wind storm passed, the forest below was ripped open, exposing the yellow earth. Many magical beasts fled in terror from the area. Protected by Old Man Yao, Xiaoyan was fortunately not swept away by the fierce wind. His 2 hands tightly gripped a branch, looking at the surrounding forest, which was shattered into a chaotic mess, and he couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Humph! Seeing the rushing windstorm, the amethyst-winged Lion King roared. Its 2 wings shook, and the 2 to 3 zhang wide purple fire pillar above its head split and struck toward the windstorm. The 2 colossal objects collided like lightning in the sky. The moment they touched, the space almost fell into a complete stillness. Boom! A sudden, thunderous explosion rang out in the sky. The wind storm and the fire pillar violently collided, fiercely unleashing terrifying energy into each other. The space at the point of contact seemed to fluctuate slightly. Thud! The wind storm and the fire pillar continued to stalemate for a few more minutes. Finally, due to energy depletion, they exploded with a sound that echoed throughout the mountain range and dissipated. When the wind storm and the fire pillar dissipated, the mysterious woman standing silently in the air finally made a move. Her two wings flapped and her body, like a bolt of lightning, instantly pierced through the chaotic energy field and appeared behind the amethyst-winged Lion King. The strange long sword in her hand thrust out rapidly. A high-speed swirling wind blade, resembling a cyan round blade, formed at the tip of the sword. Clang, clang! The long sword, carrying the wind blade, struck the amethyst-winged Lion King's body. Successive crisp sounds echoed in the air. However, even with the rapid thrusts of the long sword, it only left white marks on the crystals, and these white marks faded after only a brief moment. Boknon white marks/scars/lines. Ignoring the opponent's attack, the amethyst-winged Lion King blocked with its head. The crimson horn on its head shot out a half-meter-long purple flame. The heat of the purple flame made the mysterious woman's dark eyebrows furrow. Her white hand formed a strange seal at her side, wind thrust force. Following the soft, clear voice, a fierce wind tornado suddenly appeared in front of her, roaring and blocking the colossal purple flame. Seeing that the purple flame attack was ineffective, the amethyst-winged Lion King's eyes shone brightly. Its massive claw struck down toward the mysterious woman, forming an extremely dazzling purple glow. The air where the claw passed was easily ripped apart and a sharp, ear-piercing scream echoed through the sky. Looking at the amethyst-winged Lion King's offense, the mysterious woman's expression was somewhat solemn. Her two wings behind her lightly flapped, and a massive, 2 to 3 meter wide wind shield suddenly condensed in front of her. Crack! The colossal claw struck the cyan wind shield. The purple glow shone brightly. A crisp cracking sound rang out, shattering the wind shield into fragments that scattered everywhere, disappearing with the wind. The amethyst-winged Lion King's physical attack was truly fierce. Having broken through the opponent's defense, the amethyst-winged Lion King roared. Its colossal body twisted slightly. The terrifying speed of its attack, combined with its massive form, was truly unusual. Seeing the amethyst-winged Lion King relentlessly pursuing her attack, the mysterious woman only chose to evade. After all, clashing head-on with that monster with its abnormal physique was not a smart move. In the sky, the amethyst-winged Lion King continuously rushed forward, while the mysterious woman constantly retreated. Although she seemed to be at a disadvantage, she had not yet sustained any injury. Looking up at the extremely spectacular battle in the sky, and the continuously fluctuating space, Xiaoyan secretly clicked his tongue. He feared that the aftermath of this battle alone could easily kill a Dou master or even a great Dou master. The amethyst-winged Lion King's defense and physique are extremely powerful. That woman cultivates the profound wind-attributed Dou technique. Furthermore, both are Dou Huang powerhouses. The gap in strength is not too great. Continuing to fight like this, without a real trump card, it's basically difficult to determine a winner. Old Man Yao said casually. Not necessarily. The amethyst-winged Lion King has the fire attribute. The sunlight will have an augmenting effect on it, making it weaker at night. Therefore, it will likely try to conclude the battle quickly before sunset. Looking up at the chase in the sky, Xiaoyan said softly. Heh, you little brat are quite observant. You immediately noticed that the amethyst-winged Lion King relies on the sunlight for assistance. Hearing Xiaoyan's analysis, Old Man Yao couldn't help but say with a hint of surprise and a laugh. I see that the crystals on its body seem to be absorbing the sunlight's energy. The purple flame in its body must be stimulated by this. Xiao Yan widened his eyes and suddenly said, Master, can that type of purple flame in the amethyst-winged Lion King's body be refined by an alchemist's genuine fire? Ah! You truly dare to think of anything. Startled by Xiao Yan's wild idea, Old Man Yao shook his head and explained, that type of flame is very difficult for an alchemist to refine. It is born within the magical beast's body, and compared to a heavenly flame, it is even harder to tame. Furthermore, that flame is basically inferior to a heavenly flame. It is only slightly stronger than the flames generated by Do Qi, so no one is willing to expend such a great effort to tame it. Nodding slightly, Xiao Yan remained silent, looking up at the extremely rare, high-level battle in the sky. Because the battle between one person and one beast in the sky created too great a disturbance, many magical beasts were awakened from their deep slumber. As a result, the initially deserted mountain range now echoed with countless strange animal roars. The magical beasts qualified to survive in the magical beast mountain range were basically at third tier or above. At this level, they had already developed rudimentary intelligence and were distinctly different from magical beasts that only acted on instinct. In the world of magical beasts, the hierarchy is extremely strict. For example, the low-rank magical beasts that appeared now all very consciously tucked their tails and retreated from the battle zone. Only a few magical beasts were qualified to approach and watch the battle. Xiao Yan secretly glanced at them. There were 3 colossal magical beasts standing proudly on 3 mountain peaks. Their eyes intensely watched the battle in the sky. Old Man Yao had mentioned that these 3 magical beasts were all 5th tier, comparable to human Do King powerhouses. Looking at these famous beasts that he had only heard rumors of outside, Xiao Yan couldn't help but let out a soft groan in his heart. This part of the mountain range was only the eastern section of the magical beast mountain range, yet a 6th tier magical beast, 3 5th tier magical beasts, and so many other rank magical beasts had appeared. This display of power was terrifying and could almost easily annihilate an entire legion. However, although many magical beasts appeared, none of them advanced to assist the amethyst-winged Lion King. They clearly understood that as the king of the eastern mountain range, any assistance would be an insult to the king's dignity. The battle in the sky continued from noon until dusk. Looking at the sun that was already halfway down the horizon, the amethyst-winged Lion King, who had been relentlessly pursuing the mysterious woman without tiring, suddenly stopped. Its red eyes, mixed with purple light, carried majesty and impatience, intently staring at the noble woman in the air. Human woman, you are challenging my limited patience. The amethyst-winged Lion King growled softly, its voice shaking the entire mountain range. As long as the Lion King exchanges the amethyst spirit stone with me, I will never return to cause trouble. Having been relentlessly chased for over half a day, the mysterious woman still maintained her graceful and noble demeanor. A cluster of cyan swirling wind faintly surrounded her, and she said softly, "You don't know what's good for you, so don't blame me." A roar, faintly mixed with anger, erupted from its mouth. The purple light on the amethyst-winged Lion King's body grew brighter and brighter. In just a moment, the intense light vaguely eclipsed the sunset on the horizon. It's really coming. Looking at the might emanating from the amethyst-winged Lion King, a trace of excitement flashed in Xiao Yan's heart. He whispered. Looking at the intense purple light emanating from the amethyst-winged Lion King in the sky, the surrounding magical beasts suddenly retreated in fear, and even the 3 colossal 5th-tier beasts were no exception. The strange phenomenon on the amethyst-winged Lion King's body was also noticed by the mysterious woman. Sensing the strange, sudden fluctuation of the surrounding heaven and earth energy, her face gradually became solemn. A several-meter-wide windstorm began to rise around her, roaring fiercely. The purple glow enveloped the entire region of the sky. After a moment, it suddenly contracted rapidly. In just an instant, all the purple light in the sky was compressed into a half-meter wide purple beam of light. Is that a seal? Feeling the energy within the purple beam of light, Old Man Yao couldn't help but whisper in surprise. Seal? Hearing this name, Xiaoyan hurriedly asked. Some strange high-rank magical beasts are naturally gifted with some sealing techniques. I didn't expect this amethyst-winged lion king to know one. That woman is about to suffer a great loss. As Old Man Yao explained, the deep purple beam of light shot out like lightning. Its speed was terrifying. It appeared in a flash, and in just 2 flashes, it had already appeared not far in front of the mysterious woman. Amethyst Star Seal. As the purple light flashed, the low, deep roar of the amethyst-winged lion king continuously echoed through the mountain range. The instant the deep purple beam of light appeared, the mysterious woman's expression changed slightly. At the same moment, she circulated her Dou Qi and unleashed a fierce Dou technique in her hand. Fissuring wind. Tornado. Following the mysterious woman's soft, clear shout, the space in front of her slightly fluctuated. Countless wind blades several zhang wide flashed in the air and twisted together like a pillar of blades, spinning at an extremely high speed to form a funnel shape that violently shot out. You are reading the novel copied at truyenful.vn. Rumble. Where the purple beam of light and the wind blade tornado passed, the space slightly warped. Immediately, they collided heavily with a terrifying force, like a meteor striking the ground. The purple beam of light and the wind blade tornado clashed. The wind tornado clearly fell into a disadvantage, and in just a moment, it exploded with a loud rumble, scattering. The purple beam of light only dimmed slightly. After destroying the wind blade tornado, the purple beam of light easily pierced through several dozen layers of wind shields the mysterious woman had set up in front of her, finally shining onto her body. The moment the purple beam of light hit its target, the amethyst-winged lion king's colossal body instantly appeared in front of the mysterious woman. On its massive claw, 5 sharp purple claws extended, viciously raking across her chest. Extreme wind, final kill. Just as the colossal claw was about to tear her body, the strange long sword in the mysterious woman's hand suddenly vibrated. A deep, thumb-sized beam of light instantly shot out. The moment the light beam appeared, the space seemed to shudder slightly. Clang! The light beam shot toward the amethyst-winged lion king's head. However, it noticed and ducked, so the light beam only struck the crimson horn on the top of its head. Instantly, the hardest part of its body was cut in half. The severed horn caused the amethyst-winged lion king intense pain. It roared wildly. Its claw, carrying chaotic and extremely fierce energy, heavily slammed onto the mysterious woman's chest. A burst of ear-piercing metallic sound rang out. The mysterious woman suffered a severe blow and immediately coughed up fresh blood. Her face was slightly pale. Her body suddenly twisted, her 2 wings flapped. And her figure flashed mysteriously, instantly disappearing on the horizon. Looking at the woman, who was still able to unleash such a terrifying speed even when injured, the amethyst-winged lion king, whose strength was diminished by the severed horn, let out a wild roar. Under the roar containing wild energy, the mountain range continuously shook as if there was an earthquake. And several towering mountain peaks crumbled. Search for her. You must find and capture that woman for me. The colossal head looked down at the mountain range below. The amethyst-winged lion king glared with blood-red eyes. Its ferocious roar, filled with killing intent, made the magical beasts all over the mountain frantically scatter. While the magical beasts frantically searched for the mysterious woman all over the mountain, Xiaoyan, under Old Man Yao's protection, quietly ran straight back to his hiding spot without alarming any magical beasts. Too exciting. That woman's final move was too powerful. If the amethyst-winged Lion King hadn't evaded in time, I fear its head would have been pierced. Recalling the spectacular and perilous battle in the sky, Xiaoyan felt excited in his heart. A scene of powerhouse confrontation like this was rarely seen even outside. Extremely carefully, he returned to the waterfall to collect the alchemy cauldron and other items he had left there. Just as Xiaoyan was about to return to the mountain cave, his footsteps suddenly froze. Xiaoyan's eyes were wide open, staring at the river right beneath the waterfall. There, a beautiful woman in plain white clothes was floating. Her eyes were closed and her face was pale, indicating that she was severely injured. Gulp. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Xiaoyan recognized that the woman floating on the water was the Do Huang powerhouse, who had just fought the amethyst-winged Lion King. Judging by her appearance, she seemed to have fallen into a state of coma. Xiaoyan's heart immediately wavered. Should he save her or not? Saving her might provoke the magical beasts here, but if he didn't, she would likely be torn apart by the enraged amethyst-winged Lion King. While Xiaoyan was still hesitant, the muffled roars of magical beasts faintly echoed from the distant forest. Sigh, consider yourself lucky. Hearing the animal roars, Xiaoyan gritted his teeth, quickly jumped into the water, and picked up the woman. Because she was underwater, she was completely soaked from head to toe. Xiaoyan's hands, resting on her calves and the back of her neck, felt soft and smooth like warm jade. The sensation was extremely wonderful. Gently biting his tongue to suppress the thought, Xiaoyan carried the water-soaked beauty and ran frantically toward the mountain cave. After running straight into the 50-meter radius around the mountain cave, Xiaoyan finally let out a sigh of relief. Old Man Yao had spread a kind of medicinal powder in this area, which was highly stimulating to magical beasts. They would usually avoid entering this circle, so this area could be considered safe. Carrying the woman, Xiaoyan rushed into the mountain cave and gently placed her on the rock bed. He sat down next to her, heavily panting for several breaths. While resting, Xiaoyan finally had time to observe her closely. Upon careful examination, a look of astonishment gradually rose in Xiaoyan's heart. Her features were picture-perfect. The phrase icy skin and jade bones seemed insufficient to describe her. Furthermore, what made Xiaoyan awestruck was the grace and nobility hidden in her demeanor. His gaze swept over her smooth face, and Xiaoyan's eyebrows slightly furrowed. Beneath her jade-like neck, 5 horrific claw marks were imprinted on her chest. Blood had soaked her clothes red. Even in her coma, her dark eyebrows were slightly furrowed, and a trace of pain faintly appeared on her face. Although this appearance did not fit her usual demeanor, it made her appear pathetically beautiful. She needs treatment. Rubbing his hands, Xiaoyan took out more than 10 small jade bottles from his storage ring. After a brief hesitation, he reached out to remove the woman's clothes. However, just as his hand was about to touch her body, her closed eyes suddenly snapped open. Her beautiful eyes were filled with icy coldness and shame, staring intently at Xiaoyan. Ah! You're awake. The woman suddenly opening her eyes startled Xiaoyan. He hurriedly retreated a few steps, holding up the small jade bottle and explaining, I only wanted to help you treat your injuries. I have no ill intentions. Of course, you were in a coma earlier. So I was planning to apply the medicine myself. But since you're awake now, you can take it. As he spoke, Xiaoyan cautiously placed the jade bottle beside her and retreated a few more steps. Having witnessed this woman's power, Xiaoyan was somewhat afraid that she might suddenly flare up and kill him with a random palm strike. That would be a truly unjust death. Seeing Xiaoyan retreat, the mysterious woman finally let out a soft sigh of relief. The coldness in her eyes also lessened. However, when she tried to move herself, she found that her entire body was stiff. Struggling slightly, the mysterious woman slowly closed her eyes. A moment later, she opened them, gritting her teeth and whispering, "That hateful fellow. To think he actually used a sealing technique." Xiaoyan squatted in a corner of the mountain cave, watching the woman who couldn't move her body for a long time. He looked innocent, but he was not planning to actively go over and help. After another attempt, the mysterious woman had to helplessly stop her futile struggle. She turned her head, her beautiful eyes looking at Xiaoyan, who was squatting on the ground drawing circles. After carefully assessing him, she didn't feel that this young man, who looked somewhat handsome, posed any future threat. Only then did she say softly, "You help me apply the medicine." Her voice was extremely pleasant to the ear, but perhaps due to her identity, there was always a trace of unconcealable nobility in her tone. "Me?" Raising his face, Xiaoyan stared intently at the mysterious beauty, widening his eyes. He muttered softly, "I can help you, but I have to say this first. After this is done, you better not pull any stupid stunts like claiming I looked at your body and demanding I gouge out my eyes to compensate." Hearing Xiaoyan's words, the woman shook her head with a mix of laughter and tears. She suddenly thought in her heart, how many years has it been since someone dared to say such words in front of me? I'm not that conservative. As long as you can manage your hands and your mouth, I naturally won't do something like repaying kindness with enmity. Her voice slowed down, and the woman said indifferently. With this assurance, Xiaoyan cautiously walked over. His eyes swept over her beautiful face again. He coughed and reached out to gently tear open a section of the clothes on the woman's chest. Pulling away the pure white clothes, a pale blue inner armor was revealed beneath. A light shimmered on the inner armor like ripples. Clearly not an ordinary item. 5 deep claw marks were visible on the surface of the armor, and blood gently seeped out from them. The inner armor is very sturdy. If it weren't for this protection, I fear that attack from the amethyst-winged Lion King could have directly torn open her upper body. Looking at the pale blue inner armor, Xiaoyan sighed in awe in his heart. Cough. That wound beneath the inner armor to stop the bleeding and apply medicine. It seems the inner armor must be removed. Looking at the woman's soft body wrapped inside the inner armor, Xiaoyan suddenly turned toward the woman, whose cheeks were slightly flushed, and said with an awkward bitter smile. Hearing Xiaoyan, the woman's body clearly trembled slightly. She took a deep breath, her beautiful eyes slowly closed. Her long, slender eyelashes trembled slightly, and her voice became somewhat calm. "Take it off. Hurry." Seeing the other party being so decisive, Xiaoyan felt somewhat uncomfortable. He shook his head helplessly, lifted the woman from the rock bed, and sat her down cross-legged with her back facing him. Looking at the tempting curves behind the woman, Xiaoyan's hand trembled slightly as he slowly unfastened her clothes. When his finger occasionally touched the woman's skin while moving the fabric, he felt her body suddenly tense up. It seemed that even though this woman was a legendary Do Huang powerhouse, she was not as calm and unaffected as she claimed in matters of male-female contact. Slowly unfastening the clothes down to her slender waist, Xiaoyan finally vaguely touched the metal clasp of the inner armor and gently undid it. Unfastening the last clasp, Xiaoyan very carefully separated the inner armor from the woman's body. However, despite his extreme caution, the metal brushing against the wound still made her gasp slightly. After the inner armor was removed, the woman's upper body was almost naked. Before Xiaoyan, of course, it was only the back. As for the front, Xiaoyan truly did not have the guts to look naked from the waist up in front of a strange man. The snow-white skin of the Do Huang powerhouse gradually flushed with a faint pink. Her soft body was trembling slightly. "Manage your hands and your eyes." At this moment, the woman issued another warning. Smiling bitterly, Xiaoyan took out a black robe from his storage ring and draped it over the woman's body from behind. Only then did he slowly turn her around to lie on the rock bed. Turning her around, Xiaoyan finally noticed that both her cheeks were flushed with a tempting pink. However, the look in her eyes as she looked at him was not overly cold. Clearly, Xiaoyan's action of helping her undress earlier had earned him some goodwill. I need to clean the wound. Reminding her, Xiaoyan slowly pulled down the black robe until the wound was completely exposed. Only then did he hurriedly stop because at this height, he could see half of her snow-white, delicate breasts and the tempting cleavage that would drive any man insane. Taking out some clean cotton from his storage ring, Xiaoyan poured a small amount of pale green liquid from a jade bottle, and then slowly wiped the blood around the wound. With each gentle wipe from Xiaoyan, the mysterious woman's eyelashes trembled continuously. The noble phoenix hairstyle on her head also subtly came undone a little, making her look less graceful and more like a languid woman. Her beautiful eyes looked at the young man in front of her, who was intently cleaning the wound with his head bowed. A greater sense of gratitude appeared in the woman's gaze. After carefully cleaning the wound, Xiaoyan sprinkled a small amount of white powder from another jade bottle. Stimulated by the powder, the woman's dark eyebrows furrowed, and a low moan mixed with pain escaped her slender nose. Don't worry, it will be fine soon. Smiling faintly, Xiaoyan spread the medicinal powder evenly over the wound. He then took out some cotton to stop the bleeding and carefully wrapped the wound. Of course, while wrapping the wound, even though Xiaoyan didn't intentionally look, he still caught glimpses of some things that shouldn't be seen. Fortunately, he concealed it well. Or else it would have been difficult to prevent the mysterious woman from changing her expression. You are reading the novel copied at trueinful.vn. It's done. The wound has been taken care of. The remaining internal injuries must be resolved by yourself, and that seal must also be lifted by yourself. Clapping his hands, Xiaoyan retreated a step and said with a smile. Thank you. Lying quietly on the rock bed, the woman suddenly smiled at Xiaoyan. The smile was breathtakingly beautiful. Lying prone on a small mountain peak, Xiaoyan's eyes continuously scanned the surroundings. Due to the amethyst-winged Lion King, the magical beasts inside the Magical Beast Mountain range were noticeably more agitated during this period. However, thankfully, the medicinal powder that Old Man Yao had spread was very effective. Although magical beasts occasionally approached, they would quickly run away after smelling the stimulating scent. So the two of them had not been discovered during these 2 days inside. Having a woman around is always a nuisance, ah. Do you intend to keep her like this? Old Man Yao casually floated out of the storage ring and said with a laugh. Heh, this is a Do Huang powerhouse, ah. Having the chance to make her owe me a favor is a long-term investment. What is a little bit of risk compared to that? Xiaoyan spread his hands in front of him, catching a willow branch falling from the tree, and laughed mischievously. I think you should just take advantage of her weakness now and finish her off. Then you'll have a Do Huang powerhouse as a guard. You could swagger around the Jia Ma Empire in the future. Old Man Yao spoke like a mischievous old man, laughing slyly. Rolling his eyes, Xiaoyan muttered, I thought about it too, but if I really did that, when she recovers, the first person she'd want to kill would definitely be me. Alright, the surveillance is done. Let's go back. After looking around the quiet surroundings again, Xiaoyan waved his hand, uninterested in arguing about this extremely boring topic with Old Man Yao. He jumped off the rock and fiercely leaped down from the small mountain peak. Storing Old Man Yao back into the storage ring, Xiaoyan walked back leisurely. A few minutes later, he entered the cool mountain cave. Stepping into the cave, he saw the mysterious woman, who was originally lying down, now sitting gracefully on the stone slab, supporting her fragrant chin with her hand. Seeing Xiaoyan return, she couldn't help but smile. You're back. Smiling and nodding, Xiaoyan, with the heavy Xian ruler on his back, walked closer. He took out a few fat fish he had caught at the waterfall from his storage ring. He sat down on the ground and started a fire, casually asking, "Are you feeling better?" The mysterious woman subtly moved her body, creating a faint fragrant breeze. Her dark eyebrows furrowed, and she sighed softly, "The external injuries are fine, but the seal on my body will take at least a few more days to undo. Then hide here for now." "They shouldn't search this far." Scaling the fish and placing it over the flame, Xiaoyan turned his head to look at the mysterious woman beside him. Because her plain white clothes were shredded. She was currently wearing Xiaoyan's black robe. When others wore it, it gave off a dark, heavy appearance, but when worn by her, it was complemented by her exquisite, curved figure, adding a few layers of mystery. As she moved, her snow-white jade legs subtly appeared and disappeared, which was extremely tempting. You are reading the novel copied at trueinful.vn. She sat down gracefully. The mysterious woman's beautiful eyes intensely watched Xiaoyan continuously sprinkle various seasonings onto the grilled fish. She smiled and said, "You are a Dou practitioner with quite some guts to dare to venture into the magical Beast Mountain range." "I had no choice. I was chased in here." Xiaoyan chuckled, tilting his head to ask, "By the way, what's your name?" "Yunji." Her beautiful eyes flickered slightly, and the mysterious woman smiled again and said, "Yao Yan." Xiaoyan sprinkled a small amount of meticulously blended seasoning from a jade bottle, casually saying his name. Yunji. He had never heard of a Dou Huang expert with that name in the Jiama Empire. It was highly likely that she was hiding her true identity. The woman who called herself Yunji did not question the truthfulness of Xiaoyan's words. Although her strength was currently sealed, a young man who was only a Dou practitioner clearly posed no significant threat to her. The short conversation slowly ended like this. With the topic gone, both fell into silence, until Xiaoyan handed the grilled fish to Yunji. Only then did she gently nod at him. Tearing off a small piece of fish meat, Yunji's rosy lips subtly moved. Her slow, graceful demeanor made Xiaoyan, who was wolfing down his food beside her, feel a little inferior. "You are an alchemist." Her eyes swept over the jade bottles next to Xiaoyan. A hint of surprise was evident in Yunji's voice. "Ah, a physician perhaps." Swallowing the food in his mouth, Xiaoyan concealed his alchemist identity. He did not feel that revealing his identity was a wise idea. "I have a friend who is an alchemist waiting for me in the Jiama Empire to complete this matter. If you are willing, I can introduce you to him." Yunji subtly licked the grease from her rosy lips and said with a smile. Hearing that, Xiaoyan was startled, then shook his head under the surprised gaze of the other party. "Thank you, but I think I'll pass. I already have a master." Hearing that Xiaoyan unexpectedly refused her kind offer, a look of astonishment flashed on Yunji's beautiful face. Her recommendation was unexpectedly rejected by the person in question. This was the first time this had happened in many years. At this moment, Yunji almost impulsively wanted to ask, "Do you know who I'm trying to introduce you to?" However, the impulse only flashed briefly in her heart. With Yunji's composure and identity, she naturally would not ask such a question publicly. Instead, she slowly nodded with a hint of incomprehension. "After your injuries heal, are you still planning to go look for the amethyst-winged Lion King?" Biting off the last piece of fish meat, Xiaoyan asked vaguely with a mouth full of food. I must obtain the amethyst spirit crystal." Yunji sighed softly and said. Xiaoyan shook his head. Having witnessed her fight with the amethyst-winged Lion King, he clearly believed that Yunji's chances of success were slim. "The difference in strength between me and it is not significant. I just didn't expect it to possess a sealing technique. I was caught off guard and suffered a loss last time." In the next battle, my extreme wind, final kill, won't necessarily fail like that. Seeing Xiao Yan's expression, Yunji frowned, a hint of unwillingness vaguely contained in her voice. That move is indeed very powerful. Xiao Yan did not doubt the power of the deep beam of light that had severed half of the amethyst-winged Lion King's hardest horn. However, if they truly clashed head-on against the amethyst star seal, Xiao Yan couldn't say who would win. Having finished the grilled fish, Xiao Yan stood up and stretched lazily. He spoke with Yunji for a moment, then sat down cross-legged on the stone slab to the side. He assumed the cultivation hand seal and slowly closed his eyes. Seeing Xiao Yan begin to cultivate, Yunji also stood up. She cleaned the oil from her hands and walked in front of Xiao Yan. Her bright eyes looked down at Xiao Yan, who was cultivating. A moment later, she frowned and said softly, "Why is it the lowest rank Huang level Do Chi technique? The master of this little fellow seems too stingy. Doesn't he know what this means for a nascent cultivator?" Shaking her head and sighing softly, Yunji instantly judged the never-before-met old man Yao to be an unscrupulous master who was harming his disciple. After this matter is concluded, I should help him out. Such a good seed shouldn't be ruined. Shaking her head, Yunji also sat down on the side, slowly closing her eyes, and gradually began to undo the amethyst star seal on her body. The quiet life of cohabiting in the mountain cave passed peacefully for 2 days. However, on the 3rd day, it was shattered by a sudden wolf howl inside the mountain cave. Having just finished lunch, Xiao Yan's face drastically changed upon hearing the wolf howl not far outside the cave. He quickly stood up, exchanging glances with Yunji. Both frowned. How were we discovered? Xiao Yan paced nervously. He had been sprinkling medicinal powder on his body every day to mask his scent. It should be impossible for a magical beast to track him here. Frowning, Xiao Yan suddenly caught a glimpse of Yunji's face, which held a look of apology. Slightly startled, his heart stirred, and he said with a bitter smile, "Don't tell me you went outside today?" Looking at Xiao Yan's expression, Yunji's beautiful face subtly flushed with shame. She squirmed and whispered, "I'm sorry, I went out to bathe today." Hearing that, Xiao Yan was instantly speechless. He sighed, tightly gripped the heavy Xian ruler on his back, and gritted his teeth, saying, "You stay here and don't move. I'll go out and lure that magical beast away. You your strength, let me go instead." Seeing Xiao Yan turn to leave, Yunji felt even more apologetic in her heart. She hastily stood up and said, "Stay right where you are. Don't you dare move." Xiao Yan abruptly stopped his steps, turned his head, and shouted in a deep voice, "If you go out, you'll only attract more magical beasts." Startled by Xiao Yan's abrupt shout, Yunji stared blankly at the young man in front of her. Her mind suddenly reeled. This little fellow dared to shout at me like that. Don't take a single step out of the cave entrance, or we will all die here. Since it had come to this, Xiao Yan had no energy to care about the Do Huang powerhouse behind him. He spoke in a strict tone and quickly rushed out of the mountain cave. Standing in one spot, watching the young man's silhouette disappear at the cave entrance, Yunji's jade hand swayed wildly at her sides. Her expression seemed unsure of what to show. After a long moment, she stomped her foot and huffed, so young yet so fierce and unyielding. "I was planning to help you, but if you insist on being so headstrong, then go ahead." Although she said that, Yunji still walked a few steps forward, looking at the brightly lit cave entrance. Recalling Xiao Yan's reminder, she had no choice but to stop. A hint of anxiety appeared on her forehead. Not long after Xiao Yan left, Yunji heard the wolf howl becoming increasingly fierce. A moment later, the wolf howl gradually moved farther away, but the young man still hadn't returned. After waiting a while longer, Yunji finally couldn't take it anymore. She gritted her teeth, her jade hand clenched. The strange long sword shot out, and she said in a cold voice, "Amethyst-winged Lion King, you bastard. If anything happens to Yao Yan, I swear I will turn this mountain range upside down." Just as she spoke, Yunji was about to rush out of the cave. But at that moment, a figure stumbled in from outside. "Yao Yan. Are you all right?" Seeing the figure, Yunji's face lit up with joy. She hastily rushed over and asked, "Big sis, please don't go outside anymore. If the magical beast comes back, I'll be done for." Xiao Yan, covered in blood, smiled bitterly at Yunji. His vision suddenly went dark, and he collapsed directly. In the moment he fell, Xiao Yan vaguely felt that he had fallen into a cluster of warm, soft, fragrant jade. On Hung Nguyen Ngoc, warm, fragrant, soft jade, a term used to describe a woman's soft and fragrant body. Brothers, you know what I mean. Xiao Yan woke up from his coma, vaguely sensing that a pair of tender, warm jade hands were wrapped around his waist. Furthermore, his head seemed to be resting on something. Most importantly, behind his back, two soft, yielding masses were tightly pressed against him. His mind slowly cleared. A cold sensation in his mouth. A stream of cold water was somewhat clumsily poured into his mouth. Because the person pouring the water was not very skilled, quite a bit of water went into Xiao Yan's nose. Cough, cough, cough. His eyes suddenly snapped open. Xiao Yan hurriedly lowered his head and coughed violently. After a long moment, his flushed face gradually returned to normal. Looking at Yunji's slightly dazed expression and the cup of water in her hand, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. He said with a bitter smile, "Were you trying to drown me?" Hearing that, Yunji's face subtly flushed with embarrassment. This was the first time she had taken care of someone, and the result seemed quite bad. Putting the cup of water down, Yunji smiled and asked, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Shaking his head, Xiao Yan gently rubbed his forehead and said, "It was only a second-tier magical beast, thankfully. If it were a third-tier, I might truly not have made it back. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean for this to happen." Perhaps due to her temporarily sealed strength, Yunji had apologized more in the past few days than she normally would. If her acquaintances knew about this, they would be shocked enough to swallow their tongues. Smiling bitterly, Xiao Yan waved his hand and said, "Forget it. I'm also partly to blame for not being clear with you." As he spoke, Xiao Yan's stomach suddenly rumbled with a loud gurgle, which made him feel a little embarrassed. Hearing the gurgling sound from Xiao Yan's stomach, Yunji chuckled. Her clear, pleasant laugh rang out. She reached for the ingredients Xiao Yan had prepared earlier and said with a long smile, "You are the patient now. Let me grill the fish today." "You grill fish?" Hearing that, Xiao Yan's eyes widened in astonishment, looking at the beautiful woman with a noble status. "I've watched you do it 2 or 3 times. I should have learned a thing or two." Smiling, Yunji turned and walked toward the rock bed, leaving a graceful, curving silhouette in Xiao Yan's eyes. Watching Yunji squatting on the ground, starting a fire and grilling fish, Xiao Yan chuckled softly. He then slowly exhaled. He assumed the cultivation hand seal, and after a moment, entered the cultivation state. Squatting beside the fire, Yunji was sweating profusely, trying hard to grill the fish. Occasionally, she turned her head and saw Xiao Yan had already closed his eyes to cultivate. She couldn't help but say softly with a sigh, "No one has ever eaten a fish grilled by me, yet you little fellow still dare to look down on me." Moving the wooden stick, Yunji's eyes swept over the jade bottles on the rock bed. Her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Her jade hand slowly moved. A moment later, she suddenly picked up a small jade bottle. "The seasoning should be in this bottle." Holding up the small jade bottle, Yunji saw the white powder inside and thought it looked about the same as the seasoning Xiao Yan had used before. She then tilted the small bottle and sprinkled the powder over the grilled fish. A clear laugh rang out, snapping Xiaoyan out of his cultivation state. Opening his eyes, he saw a black, burnt fish in front of him, looking like charcoal. The corner of his mouth twitched. He raised his head and looked at the beautiful eyes staring intently at him. He said with a helpless chuckle, "Did you grill this? This is my first time grilling it. Even if it's inedible, you still have to eat it. Otherwise, when I recover." Looking at Xiaoyan's expression, Yunji's rosy lips curved up. She lightly raised the grilled fish in her hand and said indifferently. The threatening implication was obvious. "Big sis, I'm the patient. You should be taking good care of me, yet why are you trying to poison me instead?" Hearing that, Xiaoyan immediately wailed, but Yunji acted as if she didn't hear him. She tore off a small piece of the fish herself and swallowed it. Her eyebrows immediately furrowed slightly. Clearly, she was also very dissatisfied with her own cooking skills. Seeing that his pleas were ignored, Xiaoyan had no choice but to shake his head. Thinking that he was immune to 100 poisons, he opened his mouth and bit into it. The mouth full of burnt fish skin made his lips turn slightly black. However, Xiaoyan knew he couldn't avoid it. He gritted his teeth and swallowed the fish meat in his mouth. Since he was eating mostly uncooked fish, his eyebrows slowly furrowed. His body felt a little unnatural. He stood up. "That. Xiaoyan, do you feel something unusual?" Yunji stood in front of Xiaoyan, her face blushing, and asked softly. Hearing her question, Xiaoyan finally raised his head. He was surprised in his heart, seeing Yunji standing gracefully in front of him, her face flushed with a tempting blush. Her usually clear eyes were now hazy. Xiaoyan noticed that even the back of her neck was covered in a faint pink. "It is indeed unusual." Smiling bitterly, Xiaoyan also noticed that his own body had suddenly become scorching hot. Furthermore, the heat was still intensifying. Taking a deep breath, Xiaoyan looked at Yunji's smiling face, which was now filled with a hint of panic due to the strange situation. He then looked down at the grilled fish in their hands. After pondering for a moment, his heart stirred, and he said with a slightly dry tongue, "What did you sprinkle on the fish just now? Bring it back so I can take a look." Hearing Xiaoyan's question, Yunji also realized that the problem they were facing was caused by the grilled fish in their hands. She quickly rushed to the rock bed and handed the small jade bottle to Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan quickly took the small bottle. Looking at the white powder inside, the corner of his eye immediately twitched. Especially when he subtly tested the medicinal powder in his mouth, the expression on his face became extremely ugly. "What's wrong? Is there a problem with this seasoning?" Seeing Xiaoyan's reaction, Yunji asked doubtfully. "Who told you this was seasoning?" Xiaoyan said, almost in tears, "I thought it looked about the same as the one you used before." At this moment, Yunji seemed to realize the trouble she had unintentionally caused, and her voice was filled with a hint of embarrassment. Sighing, Xiaoyan also noticed that the wicked fire in his dantian was growing increasingly fierce. He immediately contracted his dantian, using the dou qi in his body to try to suppress the rapidly spreading wicked fire. "What is this thing?" Yunji also felt her body growing increasingly hot. She was so desperate that she wanted to take off her clothes. However, since she was a Douhuang powerhouse, even though her strength was currently sealed, she still had composure. She forcefully suppressed the scorching sensation in her body and asked urgently, This is something I accidentally concocted, an aphrodisiac," Xiaoyan said. His face vaguely flushed. "Aphrodisiac?" Hearing that, Yunji's expression instantly became dull. She stomped her foot resentfully and cursed, "So young yet you don't study properly. Why did you go and concoct this devilish thing?" I truly don't know what kind of unscrupulous master taught you. Facing Yunji's anger, Xiaoyan also felt a little wronged. Big sis. This thing of mine was because you mistook it for seasoning. What do we do now? At this moment, Yunji looked bewildered, completely lacking the formidable presence she had when confronting the king of the magical beast mountain range. Use dou qi to suppress it. After all, this thing was casually concocted by me. The medicinal effect isn't very strong. Just suppress it. After saying that, Xiaoyan hurriedly closed his eyes, then circulated the dou qi in his body to suppress the rising lust fire. Seeing Xiaoyan close his eyes, Yunji didn't think much of it. She sat down and circulated her dou qi to suppress it. However, when she circulated her dou qi, she realized that her dou qi was completely sealed by the amethyst star seal. The sealed dou qi left her with no means to suppress the lust fire in her body. The lust fire in her heart grew increasingly fierce. Yunji's eyes became more and more hazy. The lust fire seemed to be increasingly invading her reason. You suppress it slowly. I can't stay here. I need to go out. A cool breeze blew into the mountain cave, making Yunji slightly clearer. She immediately gritted her teeth and ran toward the cave entrance. Xiaoyan, who was suppressing the lust fire in his body, was instantly terrified upon hearing Yunji's words. If she ran out, wouldn't she attract the magical beasts all over the place and cause them to destroy this area? Hurriedly opening his eyes, Xiaoyan jumped off the rock bed and rushed to hug Yunji from behind. The moment Xiaoyan's arm embraced her soft, slender waist, Yunji's body suddenly stiffened. Like an automatic reflex, she turned and slapped Xiaoyan's face. However, due to her weakened state, her jade hand striking Xiaoyan's face was soft and powerless. Like a lover's caress. Big sis, if you run out and lose your reason, you should know that some magical beasts are very interested in women, too, like the ape union. The words ape union hit her ears, and Yunji's face instantly turned pale. She had heard of the notoriety of this lustful beast. The thought of being defiled by that magical beast made her feel sick. She couldn't go out. And she couldn't stay. Yunji was distraught. She suddenly pursed her small mouth and bit Xiaoyan's shoulder. However, the close contact with the man's breath made her body even hotter. She instantly ignited like dry wood meeting a small flame. Her small mouth, which was biting Xiaoyan's shoulder, slowly let go. Her delicate tongue lightly slid across, gently licking like a she-cat. The wet sensation on his shoulder made Xiaoyan's body tremble slightly. The wicked fire in his body, which he had worked so hard to suppress, surged up again. His arm forcefully wrapped the soft, slender waist closer into his embrace. In that hazy moment, Xiaoyan's head tilted. A soft sensation came from his lips. His mouth slightly opened and a wet tongue, inexplicably, slid into his mouth. Their two tongues suddenly intertwined. Xiaoyan's eyes suddenly widened. At that moment he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His body abruptly stiffened. Only one thought circled in his mind. My first kiss is gone. The two tongues in Xiaoyan's mouth constantly intertwined, a continuous torrent of pleasure eroding Xiaoyan's soul. His arms tightened further, seemingly wanting to melt the woman in his embrace into his own body. The lustful fire within his body grew stronger. Vaguely, Xiaoyan's hand, at some unknown point, moved slightly from Yunji's soft, slender waist, then penetrated the black robe, lightly caressing and stroking the two smooth and soft jade mounds within. The two bodies were in such intimate contact, both Xiaoyan and Yunji trembled and breathed softly. Xiaoyan's breathing became increasingly ragged. His hand slowly moved, and a moment later, he had actually grasped the soft, holy maiden peaks. This sudden assault on a sensitive area caused Yunji's mind, which was already occupied by the fire of lust, to suddenly become sober. Seeing the intimate posture of the two of them now, her face paled slightly. Quick as lightning, her lips broke free from Xiao Yan's mouth. She bit her lip and said in a difficult, low voice, "Yao Yan, if you dare to do this to me, I will definitely kill you once I recover." Because of the burning lust. Yunji's voice carried a faint, numb quality, but listening closely, a hint of tears could be heard in her tone. Yunji's voice was like a heavy hammer violently striking Xiao Yan's head, instantly freeing him from the control of his lust. Realizing that his hand was fondling the opponent's delicate breasts, he hastily withdrew it. The dou qi in his body circulated frantically, struggling desperately to suppress the rising lust. While Xiao Yan was desperately trying to suppress the lustful fire in his body, Yunji's mind was once again invaded by lust. Her jade arm tightly embraced Xiao Yan's waist, and her delicate cheek constantly rubbed against his chest. However, just as her consciousness was about to blur again, tears suddenly fell from her beautiful eyes. A captivating voice came from Yunji's red lips, "Yao Yan, if I lose my virtue, I will first kill you, and then commit suicide." Clear tears flowed down her cheeks, finally dropping onto Xiao Yan's chest. This cold sensation brought a bitter look to the corner of Xiao Yan's mouth. He sighed lightly and asked internally, "Master, don't pretend to be dead over there. How can this aphrodisiac be neutralized?" This is a perfect opportunity. This woman's status in the Jiama Empire is probably extremely high. If you were to... Yao Lao said with a teasing laugh, his voice echoing in Xiao Yan's mind. "Don't joke. She's not the kind of woman who will follow whoever possesses her body. You heard it just now. If I take advantage of her misfortune, she will definitely kill me after she wakes up." Xiao Yan smiled bitterly and shook his head, looking down at her blurry eyes. Looking at the woman's noble, flushed face, Xiao Yan said softly, "I can feel it, she is not joking. With her temperament, she will probably follow through with what she says. Alas, what a good opportunity." Yao Lao sighed with a hint of regret, then reluctantly said, "Gather your dou qi on your hands and then massage a few acupoints on her lower abdomen, thighs and neck. As for the locations of those acupoints, you already know them." Ugh. Hearing Yao Lao mention these locations, the corner of Xiao Yan's eye twitched slightly. Aren't these all sensitive areas for a woman? "Master, don't talk nonsense. My life is very important." Wiping away a bead of sweat, Xiao Yan asked with a forced smile. However, Yao Lao fell silent and said nothing more. Helplessly, Xiao Yan gritted his teeth, bent down, picked up Yunji, and gently placed her on the stone bed. Yunji's clothes were now more than half undone. The tantalizing view was constantly revealed, extremely dazzling. This made Xiao Yan's situation even more miserable. Not only did he have to desperately suppress his lust, but he also had to pretend to be a saint in front of a half-undressed beauty. Slowly raising his hands and gathering the dou qi, Xiao Yan took a deep breath. He looked down at the mentally vague Yunji and whispered, "Pardon me." With that said, Xiao Yan no longer hesitated. His hands quickly undid the black robe on Yunji's body until her snow-white breasts were exposed before he hurriedly stopped. Xiao Yan looked without blinking, extended 3 fingers, and gently placed them on the back of her jade neck, about half an inch above her delicate breasts, slowly massaging. As the dou qi slowly infused her body, the layers of pink spreading on Yunji's face gradually stopped spreading. Her initially hurried breathing also weakened considerably. Seeing that this method was indeed effective, Xiao Yan's spirits lifted. The dou qi in his body rapidly gathered in his palm. After a few minutes of massage, Xiao Yan's gaze lowered slightly, stopping at Yunji's lower abdomen. This area was even more sensitive. Xiao Yan sighed, and once again undid the black robe. This time, the undoing of the black robe directly caused the Two prominent, delicate breasts to lose their constraint, naughtily exposed to the air. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Xiaoyan's fingers made contact with Yunji's flat lower abdomen. And then gently moved. During such intimate contact, Xiaoyan naturally couldn't help but feel a little desire rise. As the douqi flowed in through her lower abdomen, Yunji's flushed face gradually subsided, and the pink hue on her skin slowly returned to its original snow-white appearance. After a few minutes of massaging her lower abdomen, Xiaoyan hurriedly continued to undo the black robe. After exposing Yunji's jade thighs, he slowly pulled off the black robe. For this particular area, Xiaoyan really did not dare to be presumptuous. After uncovering the area that needed to be massaged, Xiaoyan quickly found the correct acupointment location, then hastily closed his eyes, and used douqi to suppress the lustful fire in Yunji's body. While Xiaoyan was closing his eyes, Yunji, lying on the stone bed, slightly clenched her jade hands. Her long, slender eyelashes trembled non-stop. A look of shame briefly flashed across her face, followed by a hint of anger, which quickly disappeared. A moment later, Xiaoyan, sweating profusely, finally moved his hands away. He covered Yunji with the black robe, panting heavily. Turning his head to look at Yunji's face, which had returned to normal, he couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Just as Xiaoyan was sighing faintly, he realized that the douqi in his body had been consumed by helping Yunji suppress the lust, causing the lustful fire to flare up again. His face flushed. Xiaoyan's body trembled. Looking at the beautiful woman lying on the stone bed without any defense, his feet involuntarily took a step forward. He looked down at her moist, alluring, red lips. His pupils showed a fiery look, and then he slowly lowered his head, as if feeling Xiaoyan's burning breath getting closer. Yunji's jade hand quietly clenched. But just as Yunji was preparing to defend herself, Xiaoyan's eager breathing, which was approaching her cheek, suddenly quieted down. A crisp sound echoed in the cave. After this sound, the hot breathing slowly moved away from Yunji. She heard staggering footsteps, hastily running out of the cave. After the sound of footsteps disappeared, Yunji, who was lying on the stone bed, trembled slightly. She slowly opened her eyes. Looking at the slightly messy black robe on her body, tears slowly fell from her beautiful eyes. Although she understood that the most terrible thing had not happened, she also knew that Xiaoyan had seen all the intimate views on her body through the massage. With her status, normally no one would dare to be presumptuous in front of her, let alone touch and stroke her body. Thinking that her body, which she had preserved for so many years, along with her first kiss, was unexpectedly taken by a much younger teenager in this small cave, Yunji felt like she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Having lost her douqi, Yunji was less cold and distant than usual. Her usual high and noble status seemed to be temporarily sealed and subsided. If it were normal, Yunji would definitely not hesitate to draw her sword and chop Xiaoyan into 18 pieces. Of course, if her douqi hadn't been sealed, the mere aphrodisiac that Xiaoyan randomly concocted would basically have no chance of blurring Yunji's mind. Lying on the stone bed, Yunji tightly bit her red lips. Her face was sometimes bright and sometimes dark, and she didn't know what she was thinking. After rushing out of the cave, Xiaoyan ran wildly towards the waterfall not far from the cave. The lustful fire spreading through his body almost made him feel like a furnace. His face flushed red once more, hearing the roaring sound of the waterfall entering his ears. Xiaoyan rushed headfirst into the water. The cold water pouring onto his head made Xiaoyan feel incredibly refreshed. Plop! Xiaoyan, like a carp, swam on the lake's surface. His body sank to the bottom of the water, allowing the coldness of the lake to stimulate him, and try to lower his body temperature. Taking out a recovery pill from his na ring and swallowing it, Xiaoyan sat down with his legs crossed at the bottom of the lake. He then frantically circulated his douqi to expel the lustful fire from his body. Under the stimulation of the lake water and the slow recovery of his dou qi, the burning sensation in Xiaoyan's body gradually lessened, and the lustful fire in his body also subsided. Boom! The calm lake surface suddenly had a head break the water. Xiaoyan wiped the water from his face, raised his head to look at the scorching sun, and let out an exhausted breath. He slowly swam back to the shore, leaning against a rock, panting non-stop. Narrowing his eyes and looking up at the sky, Xiaoyan's tongue suddenly licked his lips. Yunji's noble and beautiful face reappeared in his mind. Earlier in the cave, this woman, who was originally as noble as a goddess, had revealed such an alluring sight in front of him, making Xiaoyan feel a bit of vanity. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. Xiaoyan knew that no matter what happened in the future, this was the first time he had experienced the allure of a woman. This moment would forever remain in his mind, difficult to erase. Alas! He sighed inexplicably, then stood up and somewhat restlessly slowly returned to the cave. Approaching the cave, Xiaoyan took a deep breath and muttered softly, "She should be awake." Clenching his hand slightly, Xiaoyan stepped into the cave. His eyes stopped on the stone bed with a slight shock. Yunji was supposed to be lying on the stone bed, but her shadow was nowhere to be seen. A look of confusion flashed across his face. Xiaoyan hurriedly took a few steps forward. Just as he was about to open his mouth to call out, he felt a sudden chill on his neck. A peculiar long sword was pressed against his throat. His body froze slightly. Xiaoyan glanced back with the corner of his eye and saw Yunji in the black robe, the long sword in her hand, and an icy expression on her face behind him. In the cave, the woman held the long sword against the young man's throat, a scene full of eeriness and danger. The cold sensation coming from his throat made Xiaoyan's whole body break out in goosebumps. He slowly raised his hands, pretending to be innocent, and said with a bitter smile, "I didn't do anything wrong to you." Hearing this, a blush flashed across Yunji's icy face. She angrily thought, "It's true you didn't do that thing, but what you did to me is no different from doing it." Her beautiful eyes flickered, but Yunji's jade hand holding the long sword did not move at all. Her gaze shifted, and she saw a bright red handprint on Xiaoyan's face. Evidently, the crisp sound that had echoed in the cave earlier was caused by Xiaoyan slapping himself. Staring at Xiaoyan's face, Yunji felt a bit amused. Her hand relaxed slightly, and a look of gentleness appeared in her eyes. After a long while, a sound of dejection and weariness rang out. She weakly retracted the long sword, turned back, and walked into the cave. The long sword gently tapped Xiaoyan's shoulder, and she said flatly, "Let's pretend that what happened today never occurred. If you dare to spread it, I will definitely kill you." Standing stunned for a moment, looking at the graceful and alluring back, Xiaoyan slowly closed his eyes and sighed. A bitter look involuntarily appeared at the corner of his mouth. This kind of thing indeed had to be forgotten. Compared to her status, he was just a toad sitting at the bottom of a well. While she was a swan he was lucky enough to caress because of her misfortune. However, once she recovered, the vast sky would be her life, and the toad would still only be able to sit at the bottom of the well, longing for the vast sky. Do Huang, Battle Emperor, that was a gap difficult to bridge. Perhaps Xiaoyan would have the opportunity to reach this realm in the future. But at least not now. Moreover, this noble and arrogant woman wouldn't believe that a young man with only the strength of a doja of battle practitioner could reach that level, even if his talent was not bad. But that wasn't a necessary condition to become a Do Huang powerhouse later on. It was just a spring dream. He muttered in a low voice and shook his head. Xiaoyan also slowly walked into the cave. Looking at her indifferent face, which was closing her eyes and trying to break the seal, Xiaoyan could only shrug his shoulders, sit down, close his eyes, and cultivate his dou qi. Both of them were silent, and the cave fell into a state of quietness. After the embarrassing incident today, it was difficult for the two people to reconcile as they were before. This silent atmosphere lasted until noon. Xiao Yan, taking advantage of his free time, went out to catch fish. Squatting by the fire, he felt a discomfort in his heart. He casually turned the wooden stick and suddenly realized something strange. He looked up and saw that her agile, beautiful eyes were looking at him at some unknown time. The two pairs of eyes suddenly met. And then both pretended that nothing happened, slowly looking away. Turning the grilled fish on the wooden stick again, Xiao Yan took a fish off the stick and handed it to Yunji. You eat. I'm not hungry. Lowering her eyes slightly, Yunji said softly. But as soon as the words left her mouth, her lower abdomen felt a slight twitch. However, she ignored the strong protest of her stomach and closed her eyes stubbornly. Don't worry, I poured out the medicinal liquid in that bottle. Seeing that Yunji refused to accept it, Xiao Yan teased. Yunji slowly opened her eyes and pouted her small mouth. Her beautiful face looked up at the smiling young man beside the fire, and a look of tenderness briefly appeared in her eyes. It was undeniable that Xiao Yan's delicate face, combined with his age, made people feel a sense of harmlessness when looking at him. Staring at the grilled fish in Xiao Yan's hand, Yunji recalled everything that had just happened. In fact, everything that happened was due to her stubbornness in wanting to grill the fish herself. The young man in front of her was merely implicated because of her. Although any man would ignore such an unintentional accident. She sighed slightly. Yunji finally accepted the grilled fish in Xiao Yan's hand. She took a small bite with her delicate mouth. The young man beside her suddenly said, "Be careful. Aren't you afraid of burning your mouth?" Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Yunji couldn't help but be startled. Then she glared at him and said, "Have you ever seen a Do Huang afraid of heat?" Smiling sheepishly, Xiao Yan also took a grilled fish to his mouth and devoured it. Slowly feeding small pieces of fish into her delicate mouth, perhaps due to Xiao Yan's unintentional words. Earlier, Yunji's mood eased slightly. Swallowing a piece of fish, she said softly, "Tomorrow, I should be able to break the seal." The mouth that was wide open to swallow a large piece of fish suddenly stopped. Xiao Yan swallowed the large piece of fish in one breath and sighed lightly. For some reason, he always felt that once Yunji recovered her Do Huang strength this time, the intimate relationship between the two of them would come to an end. She would still be the high and mighty Do Huang powerhouse, and he would still be just a small doja working hard to become a Do Shi battle master. It would probably be difficult for them to maintain the good relationship they had now. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan felt that the fragrant grilled fish in his mouth became somewhat tasteless. He put down the grilled fish in his hand and said vaguely, "Really? Then congratulations. Once I recover my strength, I will go look for the purple crystal-winged lion king." Yunji said, seemingly unaware of Xiao Yan's mood. "I really hope you continue to be sealed by it." Burying his head in the grilled fish, Xiao Yan involuntarily blurted out. Hearing this, Yunji's eyebrows immediately shot up. She furiously threw the grilled fish in her hand at Xiao Yan and snapped, "What nonsense are you talking about, you jinx?" Catching the flying grilled fish, Xiao Yan saw the tiny teeth marks on its body. He grinned. Treating it like a treasure, he slowly gnawed on it. Looking at Xiao Yan holding and constantly gnawing on the grilled fish she had been eating, Yunji's face, which had been smiling, flushed slightly. She snapped, "Eat it. May you choke on it." After finishing the grilled fish, Xiao Yan felt full. He tilted his head and asked, "Although my question is a bit nonsensical, I still want to ask, do you need my help?" Hearing Xiao Yan's question, Yunji pondered for a moment, then suddenly nodded slightly. Her eyes swept over Xiao Yan's surprised expression and she said softly, "Purple spirit crystal is usually placed inside the cave. I originally wanted to sneak in last time, but in the end it noticed me. When I recover my strength tomorrow, I will lure the purple crystal winged lion king away. As for you, you enter the purple crystal cave to help me find the purple spirit crystal. Helping you with this is not a problem, but I am just a doja. Although it sounds a bit embarrassing to say, in this magic beast mountain range, any 3-star magic beast can easily deal with me, Xiaoyan said with a bitter smile, spreading his hands. You don't need to worry. Tomorrow after I break the seal, I will use a secret method to temporarily give you some strength. Based on this strength, you should be able to enter the cave. After all, very few magic beasts dare to enter the purple crystal cave, Yunji said. Xiaoyan nodded slightly. Keep this crystal with you. As long as you get close to the purple spirit crystal, it will heat up. You can easily find it by relying on the temperature change of this crystal, Yunji said with a smile. Taking out a hexagonal crystal from her Na ring, and handing it to Xiaoyan. Accepting the hexagonal crystal, Xiaoyan hung it around his neck, and smiled slightly. I will do my best. Looking at Xiaoyan's smile, Yunji nodded slightly. After discussing this matter, the two had no more topics to talk about, and the atmosphere fell back into silence. You should rest. I still want to cultivate for a while, breaking the silence. Xiaoyan smiled at Yunji, then sat cross-legged on the stone bed, closed his eyes, and entered a state of cultivation. Sitting on the stone bed, Yunji stared intently at the young man's delicate face. After a long while, she sighed softly and slowly lay down, muttering softly, sleep. Starting tomorrow, everything will become a thing of the past. The air inside the stone cave was quiet for a long time. Xiaoyan, who was originally cultivating with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. He turned his head to look at the beautiful woman sleeping on the stone bed. He slowly walked to the stone bed, his gaze lingering over her captivating curves, finally stopping on Yunji's beautiful face. Staring at her, Xiaoyan thought that this might be the last time he could look at her like this. A moment later, Xiaoyan took out a large black robe from his Na ring, and gently draped it over Yunji's body. Only then did he turn around and walk away, carrying the heavy ruler on his back. He walked out of the cave. Night was usually the peak time for magic beast activity, and he still needed to carefully maintain his vigilance. As Xiaoyan turned and left, Yunji, who was originally sleeping soundly with her eyes closed, slowly opened them. She quietly looked at the back of the young man carrying the strange giant ruler, slowly disappearing into the darkness outside the cave. Her jade hand lightly stroked the black robe covering her body. Her initially calm mind suddenly became agitated for some unknown reason. Alas! A soft sigh echoed in the cave, then slowly disappeared. Deep in his sleep, Xiaoyan's slightly drowsy eyes suddenly opened wide. Xiaoyan suddenly turned his head sharply and looked towards the cave. Inside the cave on the stone bed, Yunji was sitting cross-legged. The peculiar long sword was placed between her legs. Today, she had changed into a white dress. Her hair was coiled into a phoenix shape as before, radiating a noble aura. Her beautiful face was cold and elegant. The weak appearance of the past few days had almost completely disappeared. As if feeling Xiaoyan's awakening, Yunji's beautiful eyes slowly opened. Her gaze briefly swept over Xiaoyan, and she said flatly, "You're awake." A clear voice faintly sounded, but it was clearer now, yet hidden within it was a sense of coldness, like two strangers talking to each other. Xiaoyan's eyes scanned Yunji's body, and he slowly sighed. He tilted his head and said, "The seal has been broken." "Yes." She nodded flatly. Yunji's figure moved slightly. This time, she appeared directly opposite Xiaoyan. Her beautiful eyes looked at the young man's face and said, "Let's go. After leaving here, I will help you temporarily increase your strength." After speaking, she slowly turned and walked out of the cave, her footsteps elegant and captivating. Raising his head to look at the beautiful figure leaving the cave, Xiaoyan suddenly said, "I only like the Yunji from a few days ago. I really don't like the person you are now." Standing outside the cave, the beautiful back stiffened slightly. Her footsteps paused, and only after a moment did she continue to walk. The sun had risen high. Xiaoyan stared intently at the slender figure elegantly leaning on a giant rock. The sunlight shone lightly on her body, making her body seem to be covered in a layer of dazzling light. Yunji's current appearance was exactly the same as the day Xiaoyan hid on the side and secretly watched her fight the purple crystal-winged Lion King. Her manner was calm and noble, carrying a sense of coldness that made people feel inferior when facing her. As if noticing Xiaoyan's gaze, Yunji slowly turned around. Her beautiful eyes briefly looked at his dark pupils, then quickly moved away. She said calmly, "I will help you temporarily reach the strength of a dosher, and it will be a wind attribute, which can significantly increase your speed. If you encounter magic beasts blocking your way, try your best not to engage in battle with them, lest the sounds of battle attract more magic beasts. By then, you might." At this point, Yunji suddenly stopped, staring at Xiaoyan. "Yes." Lost in thought, Xiaoyan seemed not to notice the accidental concern in Yunji's voice. He just nodded slightly. Looking at Xiaoyan's calm demeanor, Yunji's willow eyebrows slightly twitched for some unknown reason. Then she shook her body and gracefully left the giant rock, appearing beside Xiaoyan. She said softly, "Shall we begin?" "Yes." Seeing Xiaoyan nod, Yunji slowly extended her jade hand, and then lightly pressed it against Xiaoyan's back. With a flick of her finger, a powerful burst of dou qi surged in. This powerful influx of dou qi did not cause much turmoil despite the unfamiliar body. Under Yunji's control, it flowed extremely obediently through Xiaoyan's meridians. This stream of dou qi surged strongly, causing the dou qi in Xiaoyan's body to rapidly fill up. Feeling a power he had never possessed before, he moved his body slightly. His joints felt reborn, and snapping sounds constantly echoed. Clenching his fists, a look of curiosity flashed across Xiaoyan's face. Is this the power of a dosher? As expected, a doja cannot compare. Casually moving his body, Xiaoyan discovered that his body seemed much lighter now. This was obviously due to the effect of the wind attribute dou qi in his body. No wonder dojas who cultivate wind attribute techniques are all so fast. This amount of dou qi is only enough for you to use for 2 hours. Within these 2 hours, you must sneak into the purple crystal cave and retrieve the purple spirit crystal. Yunji gently reminded. I will try my best to stop the purple crystal-winged Lion King, but you need to seize this time. That beast's intelligence is not much lower than that of humans. If it discovers me, there might not be many more opportunities later. Understood. Shall we act? Xiaoyan nodded and smiled, looking at her captivating face. Yes. Yunji nodded slightly. The wings of blue energy behind her back slowly appeared. But when she looked up at Xiaoyan's action, she was suddenly startled, and then a blush flashed across her smiling face. She said with an embarrassed anger, "What are you doing?" Xiaoyan was in a posture ready to hug. Hearing Yunji ask this question, he couldn't help but open his eyes wide, extremely surprised, at such a distance. You're not planning to let me run there alone, are you? If I encounter a 4th tier or 5th tier magic beast on the way, won't I die halfway there? Her long, slender eyelashes trembled violently. After a moment, Yunji had to take a deep breath and reluctantly nodded. Seeing her nod, the corner of Xiaoyan's mouth curled up. He slowly walked over and once again hugged this noble woman into his arms. Don't move around or I'll throw you down. Suddenly realizing that she had recovered all her strength, yet she let this young man hug her again, Yunji's soft body trembled slightly. She slowly took a breath, forcefully suppressed her emotions, and opened her mouth to threaten him faintly. Smiling and nodding, Xiaoyan muttered in a low voice, "Anyway, I've already touched what should be touched." Her beautiful cheeks slightly flushed. Yunji pretended not to hear the muttering. The wings behind her back fluttered slightly. The two quickly flew up from the ground. And a moment later, they soared high into the air. As soon as they flew high, Xiaoyan clung to Yunji like an octopus, making her so angry that her face turned slightly pale. It hadn't been long. Yet this guy had completely ignored her words. His cheek was truly incredibly thick. With an icy face, Yunji unleashed her speed to the maximum. In the air, a blue light flashed. And the figures had moved 100 meters away. "Oh right, how many stars of Do Huang have you reached exactly?" Ignoring the speed of flight, Xiaoyan's mouth slightly touched Yunji's ear. And he suddenly asked. The heat transmitted from his ear caused Yunji's flying body to tremble slightly. Her beautiful eyes glanced at Xiaoyan, and she said flatly, 3 star. "And how many stars is the purple crystal winged lion king considered?" Xiaoyan frowned and asked. Magic beasts are not easy to divide into star levels. If it were just comparing Do techniques, it could at most contend with a 2-star Do Huang. However, magic beasts are best at close-quarters combat. And in terms of close-quarters combat, the purple crystal winged lion king can be comparable to a 4-star, or even 5-star Do Huang, Yunji said calmly while flying like lightning. Overall, its intrinsic strength can probably be considered a 3-star Do Huang. No wonder you were defeated so quickly in close-quarters combat that day. That guy's close-quarters attack is indeed very strong. The injury on your chest? Xiaoyan nodded thoughtfully. Before he could finish, he was shocked to find his body suddenly dropped a lot. He immediately hugged Yunji in panic, looked up at her ashamed and angry cheeks, and had to shake his head. Helplessly. "If you talk nonsense again, I'll throw you down." In arguing with Xiaoyan, Yunji seemed to have no other way than to threaten him. "All right, I won't talk." Xiaoyan smiled dryly. And nodded. He was really afraid that this woman would get angry and throw him down, which would be quite a joke. "However, your injury is much better. Last time I checked, it didn't leave an unsightly scar." Although Yunji didn't fully understand the meaning of Xiaoyan's words, it immediately caused her face to sink. She was ready to throw this young man down if he crossed her line. "I will concoct some medicinal materials for you later to help you get rid of that scar. You are so beautiful, leaving such a scar is not good." The next sentence that came out of Xiaoyan's mouth made Yunji's heart tremble slightly. She lowered her head and stared intently at the young man's face. The angry expression slowly subsided. She said nonchalantly, "No need. When things here are over, the chance of us meeting again is probably very small." Hearing this, Xiaoyan was briefly startled. Then he scoffed at himself and shook his head. "It seems I've embarrassed myself. She is a Do Huang powerhouse. Wouldn't getting some pills be simple?" Xiaoyan suddenly fell silent, finally saying nothing more. For the rest of the journey, although Yunji felt the return to quietness, for some reason, the absence of the young man's voice beside her ear made her feel somewhat uncomfortable. They silently landed on a rock-strewn area. After landing, Xiaoyan very consciously let go of Yunji. His eyes swept over the mountain range not far away. On the peak of the mountain, a huge cave was covered by branches, appearing faintly. "Is that the purple crystal winged lion king's cave?" Standing on the rock behind her, Xiaoyan carefully looked towards the opposite peak, and asked softly. "Yes." Yunji nodded slightly. Her eyes slowly swept over the area surrounding the cave. Her dark eyebrows furrowed and she said, "The surrounding defense is very strict. That guy is indeed quite vigilant. There are some high-tier magic beasts guarding the entrance. I will try my best to kill them or injure them. You take the opportunity to sneak into the cave, Yunji turned around and instructed. Okay. Xiaoyan nodded, indicating he understood. Seeing that everything was arranged properly, Yunji was slightly relieved. As she was about to fly away, she turned her head and said to Xiaoyan, "You also need to be careful. Let's split up." Smiling, Xiaoyan said with a laugh, "You be careful too. Although I like you being sealed, I still hope you're okay." Shaking her head helplessly, Yunji said no more. The wings behind her back vibrated. Her figure gently and gracefully flew up, then shot out like a flash of lightning towards the cave entrance in front. Yunji did not intend to hide herself, so when she entered the vicinity of the cave entrance, about 100 meters away, bursts of beast roars echoed throughout the mountain range. Her jade hand clenched. A peculiar blue long sword suddenly appeared in her palm. Yunji's figure turned into a blue streak of light, plunging into the dense forest next to the cave in a short time. Immediately, miserable roars of beasts sounded. The numerous magic beasts near the cave were terrified and fled. In the eyes of the magic beasts, a Do Huang powerhouse was no different from a vicious demon, and they basically had no chance of fighting back. Human woman. You still dare to show up? Today, I will definitely take your life to avenge the destruction of my horn. Just as Yunji was slaughtering the guarding magic beasts, inside the huge cave, the purple crystal-winged lion king roared furiously, its sound echoing across the sky. Following the roar, a purple streak of light shot out from inside the cave like lightning. Instantly, the light erupted, and the forest was instantly destroyed into a chaotic mess. The forest was immediately destroyed. Two streaks of light, purple and blue, one pursuing and one fleeing, then violently collided in the sky 1,000 meters high. Xiaoyan glanced at the battle in the sky, and also began to act. His feet moved quickly on the ground. His figure turned into a blur, swiftly darting into the forest, and then secretly running towards the cave on the peak. Half an hour later, Xiaoyan sneaked into the forest that Yunji had entered. What greeted his eyes were the massive bodies of many three-tier magic beasts, soaked in blood. This bloody scene made Xiaoyan realize Yunji's ruthless tactics in dealing with magic beasts. Perhaps there were high-tier magic cores inside the corpses of these many magic beasts, but Xiaoyan didn't have time to search now. His feet quickly passed over the corpses, and then he left the forest. Exiting the forest, a huge cave entrance appeared in Xiaoyan's sight. Most of the magic beasts guarding the cave entrance had been dealt with by Yunji. However, due to the short time, 2 three-tier magic beasts were still hiding behind. Currently, the 2 three-tier magic beasts were looking nervously at the fierce battle in the sky. The ripples of the battle from above caused them to lie prostrate on the ground, trembling non-stop. Frowning, Xiaoyan glanced at the cave entrance. About a few dozen meters away were the 2 trembling three-tier magic beasts. Xiaoyan quickly took out a bottle of medicinal powder from his na ring, and then applied all of it to himself. This medicinal powder was meticulously prepared by him, and could conceal his aura so that the magic beast's sensitive sense of smell wouldn't detect him. Circling the forest for a while, Xiaoyan climbed up to a cave entrance. Using the cover of the rocks, he quietly moved towards the entrance above. His eyes stared intently at the 2 trembling magic beasts below. After a brief thought, he once again took out a soft cloth from his na ring, and tightly wrapped it around his feet. With everything prepared, Xiaoyan took a deep breath. His body suddenly jumped down from the cave entrance above. His body hung in the air for a moment, and then his feet gently landed on the ground. As soon as his feet touched the ground, Xiaoyan's body slightly hunched, and then he suddenly shot into the cave. Just as Xiaoyan's figure disappeared into the darkness, the gaze of one of the three-tier magic beasts happened to shift in that direction. However, because it didn't find anything, it had to turn its gaze back to the battle in the sky with some confusion, and its body trembled again. The cave entrance was not as dark as Xiaoyan had imagined. Around the rock walls, there were occasional purple crystal clusters. These crystal clusters were naturally formed in the cave. And in the human world, they were called purple crystal blocks, one of the valuable luxury items for decoration. Going deeper into the cave, looking at the naturally formed, beautiful purple crystals inside, Xiaoyan sighed internally. That lion monster actually knows how to enjoy life. Walking carefully, it was indeed as Yunji had said, there were no other magic beasts inside the cave. Along the way, other than the subtle sound of his footsteps, there was no other noise. Passing through a long passage in the cave, after half a day, 2 passages suddenly appeared in front of him. Frowning at the 2 passages, Xiaoyan pondered for a moment. He stepped towards the left passage and walked in carefully. This passage was somewhat winding. Xiaoyan circled a few times before he managed to enter, but he suddenly noticed that the surrounding temperature was getting hotter and hotter. Feeling a slight alertness in his heart, he stopped his footsteps. Xiaoyan wiped the sweat from his forehead, looked at the faint purple light radiating in the distance, rubbed his hands, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The Douqi slowly flowed in his body. The wind attribute Douqi left by Yunji in his body began to circulate. With preparations made, Xiaoyan continued to move forward. Xiaoyan tried his best to keep his footsteps light, and then stealthily poked his head out. His gaze quickly swept over the inside of the cave. To his surprise, Xiaoyan didn't find any traces of magic beasts. Xiaoyan stared, observing carefully once more, and then confidently stepped in. Entering the inside of the cave, Xiaoyan's eyes focused on the surroundings. Finally, his gaze stopped at the central position inside the cave. There was a very high purple crystal stone platform, shaped like a table. On the purple crystal stone platform, a purple spherical object about the size of Xiaoyan's head was quietly placed. Staring intently at the purple sphere, Xiaoyan discovered that the heat inside the cave was entirely emitted by this thing. A look of surprise appeared in his eyes. Xiaoyan had not expected this thing to emit such enormous energy. He carefully scanned the surroundings again, and murmured with some confusion, "Is this the purple spirit crystal? But why isn't the crystal heating up?" As he spoke, Xiaoyan took out the hexagonal crystal from his chest, held it out, and waited for a while. The crystal remained cold as before. Putting the crystal away, Xiaoyan slowly walked towards the purple crystal stone platform. As he got closer, a faint wave of heat washed over him, making Xiaoyan surprised again by the heat contained within this object. Slowly bending down halfway, Xiaoyan stared intently at the mysterious purple sphere. His heart moved and he suddenly called out, "Master, come out and see what this thing is." Hearing Xiaoyan's call, Yao Lao lightly floated out from the Na ring. His eyes swept over the purple sphere. His eyebrows slightly furrowed, and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. He said in a low voice, could it be the companion life purple crystal essence? Good heavens, you actually found this thing. Companion life purple crystal essence. What is that? Hearing the unfamiliar name, Xiaoyan frowned in confusion. TSK. This is good stuff. Floating in the air, Yao Lao circled the purple sphere and praised, "The purple crystal winged lion king is a type of rare beast with a unique innate talent. Otherwise, it would be difficult for it to become a 6th-tier magic beast. When this type of magic beast gives birth, there is a small chance that it simultaneously gives birth to a small cub and this companion life purple crystal essence. This companion life purple crystal essence, because it stays in the Lion King's womb for a long time, contains extremely pure energy. If the cub develops into a 4th-tier magic beast, just by devouring it, it can directly become a 5th-tier magic beast. Furthermore, the purple fire in its body will become even stronger after devouring the companion. Life Purple Crystal Essence. After explaining, Yao Lao yawned and said, I broke into 8 purple crystal winged lion king caves that year but never found this thing. I didn't expect you to actually encounter it. Holy crap, it's really that good. Hearing Yao Lao's explanation, Xiaoyan's eyes immediately lit up. He gently stepped onto the purple crystal stone platform and then tried to grab the companion life purple crystal essence with both hands. Ah! As soon as his hands touched the companion life purple crystal essence, Xiaoyan cried out, quickly inhaled a breath of cold air, and rapidly retracted his hands. Looking at his burnt hands, he hastily applied some healing medicine, and said with a horrified expression, the temperature is so high. How can I take it away? Hee, the temperature is naturally high. Moreover, the companion life purple crystal essence and this purple crystal stone platform are connected. If you want to get it, you have to dig it out of the cave, Yao Lao said with a hint of schadenfreude. Dig it out. Hearing this, Xiaoyan's face immediately became ugly. His eyes scanned the purple crystal stone platform. This thing must go deep into the ground. With one person's strength, it would take months to dig it out. Sighing, Xiaoyan looked at Yao Lao floating in the air. Right now, only he has the strength to dig out the purple crystal stone platform. Seeing Xiaoyan looking at him, Yao Lao shook his head and smiled, don't look at me. Although I can take this thing away, doing so would cause too much commotion, which would definitely alert the purple crystal winged lion king outside. Besides, even if we take this thing out, you'll never be able to smash the companion life purple crystal essence open. Really? His mouth felt a bit bitter. Xiaoyan was not willing to give up on this thing, so he immediately asked urgently. This companion life purple crystal essence, besides being swallowed whole, can only be forcibly smashed to collect the purple crystal essence inside. However, due to some reason, any attack is difficult to forcibly break it open. Well, to be precise, this thing has a kind of devouring effect. Any attack will be devoured by it, Yao Lao explained, spreading his hands. Swallow it whole. Looking at the purple sphere the size of his head, the corner of Xiaoyan's mouth twitched. Never mind the terrifyingly high temperature on its surface, its sheer volume means my throat can't swallow it. What should I do now? You went looking for this thing in the first place, so you definitely have a way, right? Feeling slightly distressed, Xiaoyan's heart moved. He tilted his head and asked Yao Lao with a smile. It is indeed difficult to take this thing away by brute force. To open it, only one thing can do it, Yao Lao said mysteriously. What is it? His eyes lit up and Xiaoyan asked urgently. Smiling, Yao Lao's eyes suddenly glanced at Xiaoyan's chest, where the hexagonal crystal was hanging. This crystal? No, you mean the purple spirit crystal. First startled, Xiaoyan then suddenly understood and smiled. That's right. Only with the purple spirit crystal can this thing be smashed open, Yao Yan nodded. Xiaoyan's quick reaction made Yao Lao quite satisfied. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go find the purple spirit crystal. Hearing this, Xiaoyan immediately turned and ran. It was clear that the purple spirit crystal wasn't here. It must be in the other passage. Oh right, I almost forgot to tell you. If the companion life purple crystal essence is here, then there might also be a small purple crystal winged lion king cub. Floating behind Xiaoyan, Yao Lao suddenly said with a mischievous smile. Xiaoyan's footsteps suddenly stopped. The corner of his eye twitched. After a long while he said fiercely, damn it. If it dares to block the way, I'll butcher it. I don't believe it can be compared to that fierce one outside. With that, Xiaoyan quickened his pace out. Such guts, looking at Xiaoyan's back. Yao Lao smiled and said, but it's overestimating itself. Successfully running out of the passage, Xiaoyan turned around and entered the remaining passage. Due to the presence of a small purple crystal winged lion king cub, Xiaoyan was extra careful. Even the rocks under his feet were not casually stepped on while walking. After walking through the passage for a while, a spacious scene once again appeared in his sight. Carefully pressing his body against the cave entrance, Xiaoyan's eyes swept over the inside of the cave. His gaze stopped at the central position of the cave because there a small purple crystal winged lion king cub was lying prostrate on the ground, quietly sleeping. Looking at the sleeping cub, Xiaoyan swallowed a mouthful of saliva, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Hee, this cub is only 3-tier, Yao Lao's voice quietly sounded from behind. 3-tier. Hearing this, Xiaoyan wiped a cold sweat again. Even with the dou qi left by Yinji in his body, he still couldn't break through the cub's abnormal defense. Frowning tightly, looking at the prostrate purple crystal winged lion king cub. After a moment of distress, Xiaoyan looked at Yao Lao and tentatively said, "How about, master, you take action to deal with this little thing? I've said it before, once you enter the magic Beast Mountain range, you have to rely on yourself for everything, unless you encounter a life or death situation. Otherwise, I won't step in to help you," floating on the ceiling of the passage. Yao Lao said with a light laugh. "Damn it, you are really heartless." His face wrinkled up. Xiaoyan fiercely gave Yao Lao the middle finger, then reluctantly muttered, "I don't believe I can't deal with it." "You're not really going to directly confront it, are you? You shouldn't underestimate this little guy just because it's not fully grown. In terms of overall combat power, it is definitely superior to a peak 3-tier magic beast. Even if you use a heaven-tier dou technique, it would be difficult to kill it." Yao Lao said in surprise. "I must be an idiot to confront it." Leaning against the rock wall, Xiaoyan took out a pile of items from his na ring. After searching for a while among the pile, he took out a purple fruit and a bottle of blue liquid. Purple smoke fruit. Looking at the purple fruit, Yao Lao said in a low voice in surprise, "Heh, you're quite prepared, little guy. You even know that fire attribute magic beasts like this thing." Purple smoke fruit is a specialty fruit of the Magic Beast Mountain range. Because this fruit contains a large amount of fire attribute energy, many fire attribute magic beasts like this fruit very much. Ignoring Yao Lao, Xiaoyan once again took out a glass tube from his na ring, poured the blue liquid into it, shook it slightly, and finally carefully held the purple smoke fruit and gently touched the glass tube. Then, he injected the blue liquid into the purple smoke fruit. You want to poison it? The purple crystal winged lion king has quite good immunity. What can your concocted poison do to it?" Looking at Xiaoyan's action, Yao Lao couldn't help but ask with some doubt. "Who says this is poison?" Xiaoyan licked his lips and smiled. "This is a super powerful laxative that I concocted. As long as it eats it, no matter how strong its immunity is, it won't be able to withstand it." Tsk, little guy, you even have this trick. However, don't underestimate the intelligence of a 3-tier magic beast. Although it's not as cunning as the one outside, it already possesses intelligence. Some higher-tier magic beasts can't even compare to it. It won't eat something with an unknown origin. Yao Lao first praised Xiaoyan with a thumbs up and then said, "Won't eat it? Hee, that's not up to it. No matter what. A beast is still a beast." Grinning, Xiaoyan took out a bottle of red liquid from his na ring. He opened the cap, and a scent that made one's stomach rumble quietly wafted out. As soon as the scent spread, Xiaoyan quickly stopped. He smiled sinisterly. "This is a medicinal liquid that I concocted using the food alluring flower. As long as I inject it into the purple smoke fruit, I don't believe that little beast can resist the temptation of this delicacy." Looking at the items Xiaoyan took out from his na ring, Yao Lao said no more. "Let this little guy concoct medicine. And he actually concocts such strange things. Slightly floating, Yao Lao asked again, even if it eats this thing, what if it defecates right here? Then your plan will seem to fail. I observed the inside just now and found that the items here are spotless. Moreover, I didn't find any dirty spots on the way in. Therefore, I think the purple crystal winged lion king likes to be clean. A magic beast that likes to be clean. That's a bit incomprehensible. And don't ask any more troublesome questions. This method is only something I thought of temporarily and is not completely foolproof. In the end, success or failure depends on luck. After speaking, ignoring Yao Lao's questions, Xiaoyan concentrated on injecting the blue liquid into the purple smoke fruit. After injecting the food-alluring flower essence, he stopped. Feeling the purple smoke fruit becoming slightly heavier, he chuckled, collected all the items on the ground into his na ring. Then held the purple smoke fruit, and gently placed it outside the cave entrance. With everything prepared, Xiaoyan stomped his foot. His body shot towards the ceiling of the passage. Using suction force with both hands, he firmly pressed his body against the rock ceiling. As soon as the purple smoke fruit was placed outside the cave entrance, a strange scent slowly spread out. With the help of the wind, it slowly diffused into the cave. The sleeping small purple crystal winged lion king cub's big nose twitched slightly, inhaling this strange scent into its belly. After taking a breath into its belly, a heavy sound echoed. It was the sound coming from the small purple crystal winged lion king cub's belly. Its beast eyes slowly opened. It slightly shook its huge head, sniffing towards the cave entrance outside, seemingly trying to find the source of the fragrance. After searching for a while, the small purple crystal winged lion king cub finally found its target. Its lazy body stood up. Its wide mouth gave a low roar, and it slowly walked towards the cave entrance. Walking to the cave entrance, the small purple crystal winged lion king cub's nose slightly sniffed the purple smoke fruit below. Then it raised its head, its beast eyes scanning the surroundings. Its huge palm gently poked the purple smoke fruit. After a moment of silence, it suddenly wagged its tail and turned back. Seeing this scene, Xiaoyan saw the small purple crystal winged lion king cub turn and leave. He couldn't help but sigh in disappointment. Its vigilance was higher than Xiaoyan had imagined. But just as Xiaoyan was thinking of another way, the small purple crystal winged lion king cub, which had turned to leave, suddenly turned back. Unexpectedly, it quickly ran to the purple smoke fruit and swallowed it. Seeing this movement, Xiaoyan finally let out a heavy sigh, and whispered, "Damn it, I almost couldn't hold back. I thought you really wouldn't eat it." After swallowing the purple smoke fruit, the small purple crystal winged lion king cub once again lay prostrate in front of the purple crystal stone platform. However, a moment later, it suddenly stood up. Its belly involuntarily cramped. Its gaze swept over the inside of the cave. Finally, under Xiaoyan's delighted eyes, it ran straight out of the cave entrance, swiftly escaping the passage. Success. Seeing the small purple crystal winged lion king cub disappear, Xiaoyan couldn't help but cheer in joy. He jumped down from the cave ceiling, rushing into the cave, racing against time. Entering the cave, Xiaoyan saw the crystal hanging on his chest beginning to emit heat. He picked it up and slowly searched inside the cave, relying on the crystal's varying temperature. After searching for a while, Xiaoyan's footsteps suddenly stopped where the small purple crystal winged lion king cub had been lying. He slightly squatted down and reached out his hand, lightly tapping more than 10 purple crystals nearby. When his finger tapped a purple crystal stone, a slight hollow sound immediately echoed from underneath. Hearing this sound, a mix of joy and fear flashed across Xiaoyan's face. His right hand quickly fumbled, opening the stone slab. Immediately, purple light erupted, stinging Xiaoyan's eyes and forcing him to quickly close them. Waiting for the stinging sensation in his eyes to disappear, Xiaoyan slowly opened his eyes. His gaze swept towards the small hole, and he saw a small fist-sized purple crystal quietly lying inside. The purple light on the spirit stone flowed, extremely beautiful. As this purple spirit stone appeared, the crystal in Xiao Yan's hand became hot. He immediately quickly put the crystal back into his Na ring, then carefully took out the purple spirit stone, and likewise put it into his Na ring. With the purple spirit crystal in hand, Xiao Yan closed the small hole as before, then stood up and frantically rushed towards the passage outside. Running wildly all the way, he finally quickly reached the fork in the passage where the two passages appeared earlier. Standing here, Xiao Yan carefully observed the surroundings. Then, a look of ecstatic joy appeared on his face, and he ran like crazy towards the passage containing the companion life purple crystal essence. After running for a while, the familiar cave entrance appeared again. Xiao Yan hastily stopped his footsteps, cautiously examined the surroundings, and then confidently stepped in. Very quickly, he reached the purple crystal stone platform. Xiao Yan greedily looked at the purple sphere on it. The energy contained within it was enough to advance a small purple crystal winged lion king cub from 4th tier to 5th tier. This abundant energy, even he would find it difficult to absorb. If he could absorb it, he would surely advance several stars, right? Thinking of the super powerful effect this object brought, Xiao Yan's body trembled with excitement. He flipped his hand, and a piece of the purple spirit stone appeared in his palm. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Xiao Yan stared intently at the purple sphere. He asked in his heart with some uncertainty, "Just smash it directly like this? It should be. I've never tried it either." Yao Lao's uncertain voice came from the Na ring. "If anything goes wrong, I'll blame you." Yao Lao's uncertainty immediately made Xiao Yan a bit uneasy. However, in this situation, he couldn't think too much. He immediately tightly grasped the purple spirit crystal, and slammed it hard against the purple sphere. Crack! The purple spirit stone slammed hard into the sphere. After a moment of silence, a crack immediately appeared on the surface of the sphere. In a flash, the crack slowly spread. Then, with a thump, it shattered. As soon as the companion life purple crystal essence shattered, a purple liquid began to slowly flow out, wetting more than half of the surrounding stone bed. Quickly take out the jade bottle to collect this purple liquid. It must be the purple crystal essence. Seeing the liquid flow out, Yao Lao shouted urgently. Yao Lao's voice made Xiao Yan's heart ache. He hastily took out the jade bottle from his Na ring, and then desperately collected the purple liquid. Although the outside of the companion life purple crystal essence emitted terrifying heat, the liquid inside was somewhat mild and cool. Although the sphere looked quite large, the purple liquid contained within it was only enough to fill 6 of Xiao Yan's jade bottles. After collecting the last drop of purple crystal essence into the bottle, Xiao Yan looked at the liquid spilled on the stone bed, heartbroken to the point where his mouth trembled. After staring for a moment, he suddenly lay down on the stone bed and then, under Yao Lao's astonished gaze, he used his tongue to lick the stone bed, swallowing all the spilled purple crystal essence into his belly. Holy cow, you really are. Looking at Xiao Yan's appearance, Yao Lao, who had been silent, also followed Xiao Yan's example and uttered a vulgar phrase.